Please welcome back Stoney Tanner.
Thank you guys, that was awesome. I think it probably goes without saying that we have the finest leadership in the industry. Wouldn't you all agree with me? And maybe, and I would say this without reservation, the greatest family ever. You guys know. It's an honor to rub shoulders with these gentlemen. We've learned so much, and we're just so grateful for what they help us to do every single day. And it really is just a privilege to be with them. It's now my honor to introduce to you our keynote speaker for this evening. Our next speaker, as the current mental performance and leadership coach for the Major League Baseball team, the Tampa Bay Rays, and formerly for the Boston Red Sox, and the Cleveland Browns organization. He travels the country speaking and training various organizations on how to cultivate mental toughness and create a culture of excellence. His clients perform in the NFL, the Olympics, the WWE, the PGA, CrossFit, the U.S. Army, and Major League Baseball. He is the author of 2 books, and he hosts a daily podcast called Increase Your Impact. Please join me in welcoming Justin Suet to the stage.
All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, my brother. Thank you. All right, guys. Thank you. Good to see everybody. I'm extremely grateful to be here with you guys today, and I look forward to hearing what you have to say. So this is going to be very interactive. So that person you're sitting next to, they're going to be your partner in some ways. They're going to be your opponent at some moments in this activity or in this talk that we're going to go through together. What we're going to be talking about today is we're going to talk about the fact that you can do hard things. You can do hard things. A lot of you came up here. We're in January of 2020. We have goals. We have business goals. We have family goals. We have fitness goals. We have a lot of different goals. And I have the tremendous pleasure to work with some of the best performers in the world. And there's something that separates the best from the rest. They do things on purpose, with purpose. And so what I'm going to give you today are 4 principles. 4 things you can do. And they're not just these feel-good platitudes, but I'm going to give you some strategies that the best performers in the world do in order to perform at their best. But before we get into that, we got to get our minds ready. Before you go for a workout, you get your bodies ready. Before we do a mental performance session, we got to get our minds ready. So this is what we're going to do. You need a partner. A team of 2 or 3, you need a partner, okay? So high five your partner just so I can make sure you got somebody. Okay, it's gonna be quick. Okay, and feel free, you can have a group of 3 or 4, you can have some fun with it. Okay, this is what we're gonna do. The alphabet. Now, if English is not your first language, grab someone where English is their first language. We're gonna talk about the alphabet, A to Z. It's gonna be very simple, very simple. These are the rules. One person is going to say a word that starts with the letter A. And then the next person, your partner, is going to say a word that starts with the letter B. And then C, and then D, and then F. So for example, if I have my partner, I'm going to say apple. My partner is going to say what? Yes. And then I'm going to say cat, and then my partner is going to say what? Perfect. Almost everyone said dog. Good job, guys. Good. So you're going to go back until you get to Z. The first team there wins. I don't got anything to give you, but you win. You win. Now, do you have anybody who's competitive in here? Anyone who's pretty good? Okay, good. Anyone who's not very competitive? Okay, well, you're going to get beat. Okay, here we go. On your mark, A to Z. Let's get your mind right, ready, set, go. Time is yours. And just scream when you're done. Some of you are struggling. Oh, some people are almost there. No? Okay. Oh, we got a winner! it. Okay, great. Some of you are like, I'm gonna finish this. All right, guys. So let me give you a little background. So what's interesting, some of you are still going. I got it. Okay, whisper it, whisper it. I know you wanna, we got some finishers in the house. Whisper it. Okay, here we go. So that little activity is something really interesting. We train NFL combine athletes this little exercise. Because a lot of times before a call, before a big event, your mind starts playing tricks on you, right? You start thinking about worst case scenario and struggling. And so we teach athletes before the big event, before a big performance, before something big, play this little game with yourself. Give your mind something to chew on and distract you from all the other stuff going on. Before I go into these principles, I want to share with you the most important thing to me, and we've been talking a lot about family, and this right here, this is my crew, and so this is my crew. Thank you. So these are them. So we're in Florida at Top Golf. We were terrible, but we had a great time, and we got my wife Melissa, and then my son Jerem, and then Maya, our next oldest daughter with the orange, and then we have Eliana right there in the middle. Now, before I want to tell you a funny story about Eliana. When she was 8 years old, we were watching the Disney Channel, and she blurts out, "Oh, I want to be an actor someday." I paused the TV. It's crazy, you can pause TV now. So I paused the TV, and I'm pretty intense. When one of my kids say they want to do something, I want to water that ambition. Okay, my wife and I was like, "Hey," I said, "What did you just say?" She goes, "I want to be an actor." And so, what, are you just saying that because you're watching, or is that something, are we about to do this? And she's 8. She's like, "What do you mean, Daddy?" I was like, "Well, do you really want to be an actor, or are you just saying that?" She goes, "I really want to be an actor, Daddy." I said, "Okay." I said, "We're going to get you a coach. We're going to put you in acting classes. We're going to get you in plays." And she goes, "Okay, we're going to do it, Daddy. I want to do it." So we get her a coach. We start putting her in camp, start going. And after about a year, she's terrible, and just still really, really bad. And obviously, I'm just telling my wife, like, getting the bed, pillow talk, you know what I'm talking about. So we're like, she's not very good, but she's passionate about it. And she tries hard, and she's practicing her emotions, she's reading these scripts. Gets to the point to where she goes, "Daddy, I'm ready." I'm like, "What do you mean you're ready?" And she goes, I want an agent. I want to get an agent. I'm like, I don't know if you're ready for it, but you know what? Let's just see if we can do it. So my wife, and she goes and tries to find my daughter an agent. And lo and behold, a huge agency in Los Angeles reaches out to her and says, "Okay, let's bring her down. She's got a good look, let's bring her down." I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this is not going to be good." And so we fly her to Los Angeles, and I walk with her into the agency. And she goes and she performs for the agent. I'm sitting behind her. I'm like, "This is not very good." And she's done. And the agent looks at her and says, "That was not very good." And she tells my daughter, "You have a great look. You have a great personality. But no, you're not a fit for us." And I thought, okay, well, this is her kind of dose of reality. I grab her hand, and we're walking back to the car. We live in Florida, by the way. We flew all the way to California for that 3-minute interview. So we're walking back, and I'm holding her hand. She's quiet, and I see her tears going down her cheek. And I'm walking, and I'm looking at her, and I don't say anything. I didn't really know what to say at that moment. My heart was broken for her. And I said, what do you think, sweetheart?" And she wipes her tears, is walking back to the car, and she goes, "That just motivated me even more, Daddy." "Okay, what do you mean?" "Daddy, I need a better coach." I was like, "Okay, Daddy, I'm going to work harder. I want a better coach. I want to work harder." "Okay." So she starts to work extremely harder. She would get her a better coach, and she goes after it, gets after it. About a year later, I'm at work where I'm in a Cleveland Browns facility, and my phone is down. And we're having a team meeting. And we're sitting there, and I'm talking, and the players are talking, we're doing something, and I turn around, and I see 25 missed calls from my wife. Texts like crazy. And so in the meantime, she's auditioning for all of these different things. And so I open up, I call her, I'm like, what? What's happening? I'm panicking. What's happening? And she goes, how you doing? Like, and now I'm kind of mad. I'm like, what do you mean how I'm doing? She goes, how you doing? I'm like, I'm scared, I'm nervous, like what is going on? She goes, oh, just life-changing news. I'm like, what? She goes, your daughter got a role. She got a role? She goes, yeah. I said, what commercial? Is it Target? Is it Walmart? She goes, no, it's gonna be a movie. Oh, that's awesome. Is it gonna be on DVD? She goes, no, it's gonna be in the theaters. Are you kidding me? And she goes, guess who she's gonna be the daughter of? And jokingly, I go, The Rock? And she says, yep. Oh. There she is. So last year, my daughter played the daughter of Dwayne Johnson in the Fast and Furious spinoff, Hobbs and Shaw. I don't know if anyone's ever seen it, but if you haven't, or if you have, here's one of my favorite clips.
She's actually quite annoying.
You know, Dad, sometimes people annoy each other when they're actually, like, flirting.
Okay, look, me and the spy lady were not flirting, all right? Zero chemistry.
I don't know. When you saw her photo, you definitely gave the eyebrow.
What eyebrow?
You know, Dad, that thing that you do.
What thing?
Yes, you do.
No, I definitely don't do that. I don't even know what you're doing. That's the silliest thing I've ever seen. I love you.
Love you.
Hey, one more thing.
All right, so really proud of her. A great testament to her tenacity. And I always tell the story. I have to say, my other two kids are great as well. They're great. I love them. They're wonderful. And so to get into what we're going to talk about today, just to explain a little bit of what I do. People always ask, what do you do exactly for a living? And I've been doing this for a decade, and it's still hard to explain. But this is the best way I can do it. If someone asks me, they go, okay, what do you do? I ask, have you ever been in the zone before? I'm just gonna ask the audience. I'm gonna poll the audience, and I'm just gonna ask you that same question. Raise your hand if you've ever been in the zone. Raise your hand. Okay, I didn't even define that. Yet, you raised your hand, you've experienced it before. Can I get someone to share what is the zone to them? What's the zone feel like? You just shout it out. Focus, someone said focus.
Slow motion.
Passion, flow, someone said flow. Momentum, confidence. So it's those moments in your life where things just come easy, right? Where you lose track of time, where you don't care what other people think. You're not worried about the consequences. You're so involved in the moment that you just focus on the process and the results take care of itself. And you can get in the zone working out. You can get in the zone reading a book. You can get in the zone in a conversation. Have you ever had those great conversations when you're done, you look at the clock, you're like, wow, we've been talking into the wee hours of the night. That is the zone. So my job is to work with some of the top performers in the world. As you can see this bell curve right here. So this is when we're kind of average. This is when we're at our worst or struggling. We have those moments when we are our very best versions of ourselves. You have those moments when you are at your absolute best. How do we capitalize on that? How can we understand what is it that you're doing or you're not doing to perform at that high level? And probably more importantly, when you're not in the zone, what can we do to protect your mind and your emotions so that you can bounce back fast when you get punched in the face? So today, what I want to introduce you to are 4 principles that you can use to do hard things, to achieve those goals, to help your families, to go after what you want. Principle number 1 is to know your why. To know why you do what you do. About 5 years ago, I was working with a college softball team. And whenever I work with a team, I like to show up to practice just to see what the culture's like, see how they interact with each other. I'll never forget, there was this pitcher, she's a senior, and she's in the middle of the field, and she's practicing, she's just throwing a bull pitch, practicing her pitching. And the coach is sitting there watching her, and every time she does something with her motions, he would stop her. So she started doing motions like, stop. Why did you do that? She goes, I don't know, that's just how I was taught. And then she swings her arms back and goes, stop. Why did you go there and not further? Well, I don't know, that's just what I'm used to. She kept going through her motions, and he kept stopping her moment after moment. And mechanic after mechanic, and he kept asking her the same question. Why do you do that? Why do you do that? Until finally she could not take it anymore. She was getting frustrated, and she yelled at him in front of everybody. She goes, I don't know why I do what I do. I just do it that way. Okay, coach? In front of everyone. And I'm standing off to the side. I'm over here. I'm like, oh, wow. It was bad. And so he's standing about here, and he starts walking towards her, really slow. And as he's walking towards her, I'm like, this is going to be good. And I start inching my way closer just so I can kind of be within earshot to hear what he's about to say. And he walks up to her. I'll never forget what he says. He points at her right in the face. And he says, I want to share something with you that's not only beneficial in softball, but in life. When you know why you do what you do, you'll have more power to do it. When you know why you do what you do, you'll have more power to do it. It's a fundamental question. It's a question a lot of people haven't paused to take a look at to understand what their why is. The reason I have an engine right there, right next to her, know your why, because your why is your engine that drives your performance. It's what gets you up at night. Or in the morning. Hopefully you're sleeping at night. It gets you up in the morning. It's what gets you up in the morning. It doesn't matter how much potential you have. It doesn't matter how, like a car, it doesn't matter how good it looks. It doesn't matter how expensive it is. It doesn't matter what color it is. It doesn't matter how fast it can go. If it doesn't have an engine, it's not going anywhere. And so just like us, you can have all the potential in the world, but if you don't have that engine that's driving you, you're not going to get very far. So now you might be wondering, you might be asking yourself, what is my why? What is my why? How do you get there? It takes a number of different questions. So a question you can ask yourself is what do I want to accomplish? You can go that way. What do I want to accomplish? Another question you could ask yourself is, how do I want to be remembered? As you sit and you think about that question. Another question could be, what do I love? Now, I want to reiterate this as well. Your why can change. How many of you ever, by show of hands, how many of you have ever experienced your why changing at a certain point? You're like, yeah, right? I worked with an athlete once, and sorry, you probably can. I'm spitting all over. You're in the splash zone, the front zone area. Whenever I get nervous, I just start spitting, and so I'm just used to it now. So one of the things that in professional sports, their why changes constantly. There's an athlete, an NFL I was working with. At first, his why was to get to the NFL. Got to the NFL, it drove him. Got to the NFL, and he felt a little bit complacent. But he didn't know why. Came into my office and we started talking, and he just couldn't wrap his mind around it. I said, well, what's your why? He's like, to get to the NFL. And in the middle of him saying that, he realized it. He said, I accomplished my why. I did it. And so we changed it. Now it was to be a starter, and immediately that was a little flip of the switch for him. There's another athlete I was working with. Her why was to be one of the best in the world. Until she had a child. And then her child became her why. But she didn't realize that it switched. Maybe your why changed. And it's really important to identify what your why is. And once you do have your why, you want to hold on to it like this guy. You want to have the Bulldog mentality when it comes to your why. Now, way back in the days, Bulldogs were used to herd what? Bulls, good. Someone's like, sheep. No, not sheep. Bulls. Bulldogs were used to herd bulls, right? And so this is how it all went down. There was this bull herder who had the very difficult job of taking a lot of bulls from one place to another place far, far away. And there would be times when a bull would fall to the ground and would just be stubborn. So the bull herder would grab his stick and would start poking the bull. Yeah, you better get up. You better get up. Now bulls don't care. Stick, get that stick out of my face. Now the bull herder knows I better not poke the bull too much because I'm in trouble. But if that didn't work, the bull herder had a companion, had this guy. So this guy was trained, little guy, mean guy, ugly guy. He didn't care. So he was trained to walk up and get right in the face of that stubborn bull. He was trained to do one thing at first, bark. Start barking. You better get up. I'm giving you a warning, you better give up. Now obviously the bull doesn't speak Bulldog, so it's not, you're a little thing. you're not gonna do anything to me. So, if the bull didn't move, the dog moved on to phase 2. It would jump up and crush the bull's face. Now it has the bull's attention. The bull would stand up, and now it has a little bulldog dangling from its face. And due to being in excruciating pain, it would take that little bulldog and would slam it on the ground over and over again. The bulldog would get slammed against trees, against rocks, against the floor, over and over again, but it would not let go. And so finally, the bull couldn't take the pain anymore, would fall to the ground, and after taking a beating, the bull would let go and would back up. And then it would bark again. You better get up. You better get up or we're gonna dance like that again. Now the bull speaks Bulldog. The bull stands up and follows that little bulldog wherever it goes. The bulldog mentality in what you do is holding on to your why. You can have the greatest why in the world, but you're still gonna get punched in the face. You're still gonna have terrible days. You're still gonna have moments when you question your ability and you wonder, is this right for me? That's all normal. Anyone who's ever achieved greatness has had those exact same thoughts. You hold on. You hold on. Keep taking that beating. Because as you hold on to your why, it will propel you to the next step, and to the next step, and to the next step. Principle number 2. Flex your positive muscles. Research shows, so when a professional athlete comes into the NFL, baseball, Olympians, whatever it may be, they receive training, mental performance 101. They learn how the brain works because a positive mindset is a competitive advantage. A positive brain will perform better than a negative or neutral one. A positive brain, the learning is that you'll learn faster, you'll be more resilient, you'll be more motivated, you'll have more confidence. A positive mindset, just a simple positive mindset. But it's easier said than done sometimes. We have something called the negativity bias. We compare ourselves to other people. We compare ourselves to our old self. How many of you have ever looked at pictures, you're like, I used to be able to do that. I used to be able to do this. And we just beat up on ourselves. And so learning how to take control of your mind and to start, instead of listening to yourself, start talking to yourself. It's a powerful principle. Stop listening to yourself and start talking to yourself. And so one of the things that we want to do is we want to flex our optimistic muscles or flex our positive muscles. You have to actually work it and actually try it. So with our kids, ever since they can talk, when my wife and I would tuck them in, we asked them 3 questions every night. The exact same 3 questions to help them with whatever they're going through. So question number 1 is, what was the best part about today? Let me back up. The reason we started doing this is because one thing I noticed about elite performers is elite performers have elite routines. And one of their elite routines is their nighttime routine or after the game. They do things on purpose, with purpose. So I thought, you know what? Let's try to give our kids an elite bedtime routine. Let's try to give them a routine that'll help them out. And so we asked them 3 questions. Question number 1, what was the best part about today? The reason we asked them that question is because it helps them scan the last 24 hours for the good. They might, even though they were bullied at school, even though they got yelled at because they got an F in class, or even though they may have had a bad day or whatever, they had to scan their mind for what was the best part about today. Question number 2 is, what did you learn today? What did you learn today? What was one thing that you learned? Whether it be from failure, whether it be from your other siblings getting in trouble, something you learned. And then question number 3 is, what are you going to do better tomorrow? To really emphasize the mindset that you are in control. Not going to blame your circumstances. What are you going to do better tomorrow? And my son, when he was in 5th grade, his favorite question number 3 is, what was the best part about today? He loved that. Always loved that. And ever since he was little. So he's 5 years old. And I'm laying in the bed with him, lights are off, can't see him, it's so pitch black. And I said, all right, son, what was the best part about today? And he goes, when I kissed the girl I like. And it is pitch black. I looked at him, but I couldn't see him. I didn't know if he was joking. He was kind of a jokester even at 5. And I said, wait, what was the best part about today? He goes, when I kissed the girl I like. Dad? I said, what do you mean when you kissed the girl you like? He goes, I actually accidentally kissed her, but that was my best part of the day. I said, okay, time out. I get up out of bed, I go turn the lights on, and we're about to do this. We're about to, wait, what do you mean you kissed a girl as a 5-year-old? He goes, yeah. Okay, tell me give me the story, what happened? He goes, and he was excited. Okay, I gotta show you that. So he goes, can I get out of my bed? I was like, yeah, you can get out of your bed. So he gets out of his bed to act it out. He goes, okay, so we were playing spinny spinny. I was like, what's spinny spinny? It's when we put our arms out and we spin around in circles really fast. I said, okay. He goes, well, I was spinning really fast and my lips hit her face. I was like, Jerem, your lips aren't gonna accidentally hit her face. You did it on purpose. He goes, I know, Dad. But that was my best part about today. So I said, son, okay, no more kissing girls. Let's just focus on school. He goes, okay, Dad. And so then we went into the next one. So finding the good stuff. My favorite story of this took place at Fort Sam, Houston, at the military base here with the soldiers. So one of my favorite units I got to work with. I spent 2 years working with our military, U.S. Army. And one of the units, thank you for those of you serve. So grateful and humbled for the opportunity I had to work with them. And one of the units I worked with was called the Warriors in Transition units. Warriors in Transition. So they are the soldiers who were injured in combat or injured in training, and now they went to a platoon to where they're in transition. They're either going to transition back into their MOS, back into their unit, back into war, back into wherever they are, or transition into civilian life. These are soldiers who have been shot, they've amputees, they've been burned, and it's a very humbling unit to work with. I learned some of them. They taught me way more than I was ever able to teach or explain to them. There was one session in particular. It was Confidence 101. Now, when you are in the Warriors in Transition units, your life has been changed drastically to where your confidence is probably shot. And your confidence is very low, and you don't know how to get it back. The things you were confident in doing before, now you might not be able to do that. And now you got to start from the bottom to rebuild yourself. So these soldiers are taking these classes on how to train their minds to be able to come back from adversity. So we're in a class called Confidence 101. And there's one soldier in particular who was really into it. He had his hand up, so he had his hand up, he was answering questions, and he was giving his take and his advice, very happy, and everyone else wasn't. I was so impressed and inspired by him that I went up to him after the session. I said, you got to tell me your story. What's your story? And he says, well, sir, before I went downrange, or before I went to war, I was 6'4", 250 pounds. He says, I was in incredible shape, and I was really good at my job. And he goes, when I was downrange, I was leading my platoon. We had my team behind. We had Hummers behind us. He was going, and I saw something in the ground. I went to dust it off to see what it was, and it was a bomb. The next thing that he remembers is being in the hospital. When he came to, he looks down, and he noticed that the bomb took both of his legs and his left arm and his left shoulder. And he told me it was the hardest time in my life to wake up and to realize that you only have one limb. He said, my mind went to darkness. I wasn't positive. I wasn't happy. I wasn't confident. It took a long time. People tried to cheer me up. Family members wasn't working. He said, my mind took me to places where we should never be thinking, or we should never go. He goes, but I went there. But all of a sudden, as time passed, I ended up realizing, this is him speaking, that I had to make a change. That my circumstances weren't going to change, so I had to change. And he said, I started to take control of what I told myself. I started to take control of my attitude and the words that went in into my mind, and the words that came out of my mouth. And I started to be really positive. And he said, sir, now what I do, every time before I leave my house, I look at myself in the mirror, and I always say, it could always be worse. It could always be worse. And there's some of us who are around, and I said, with all due respect, can I ask you a question? He goes, yeah. I said, not to be disrespectful at all, but how can it be worse? We might have people thinking here, like, their situation tough, and they might think this is worst case scenario. And he smiles, and he looks at me, and he goes, sir, at least I'm right-handed. And it was awesome. And he says, I can fish, I can draw, I can write. He goes, I'm getting my prosthetic arm and legs pretty soon. I'm going to be able to do a lot of things. And so what I want to do right now is a little exercise. We're going to do a little experiential exercise. So with your partner that you did that alphabet game with, I want you to share with them, what was one of the best things that has happened to you in the last 24 hours? I'm going to give you a couple minutes. Time is yours. Best thing happened in the last 24 hours. Go ahead.